Hello, I'm Alex Wood. I'm part of Phantom Media's coverage into the University of Derby's student elections. Today, I'm joined by Sam. Hi, Sam.
Yes, so I am Sam Haddock, and I am standing for the role of Vice President of Education.
What drew you to the particular role?
Well, I've been on the Education Council for 2 years now. First as the part-time officer for music and performance, and then more recently as the part-time officer for Derby Theatre. So I've always been kind of passionate about education, you could say. I mean, I've been sort of dealing with student representation for even longer than that. Even before I went to uni, I was a student rep at my college and stuff like that. So I've always been, quite keen to try and get the most out of both my own education and help other people around me from get the most out of their education as well. So yeah, when I saw the opportunity to come up for me to be able to take it a step further from just a PTO for a small subset of students and instead go for kind of the role above, I guess you could say, I went for it. I couldn't go for it last year, or I wasn't confident going for it last year, given I was only in my second year, but now in my third year, might as well go for it.
What is the primary aim, like the main goal, if you were to obviously be elected as Vice President of Education?
So I've got some clear-cut things that I want done, like if I manage to get the role. And those are an audit of student employability and to get the university to re-update and republish the fee breakdown. Obviously, I will hope to be able to achieve a lot more in a year's worth of being in the role. But if I can get those two done, then I think I'll be able to say I managed to do something and it was a positive difference.
And a lot of people have a very different perception of what the Union of Students have done and like their overall perception of the Union of Students. But what's yours? What's your particular perception of the Union of Students right now?
I think that they've done a really good job. Obviously, in these kind of trying times, everyone is stressed, everyone is strained. There have been cutbacks. People are having to do nearly twice as much work as they did before when it looks like they're only putting in half as much effort. And no, I honestly think that the University of Derby Student Union has done an incredible job over this past academic year. Obviously, since I am here standing for election, I feel that there are things that could have been done better, and I hope to be able to do better, but everyone hopes that. we never go, you know what, I think things should be exactly the same or worse even. No, everyone is always striving for, I want better. And that's what I hope for.
That brings me on very nicely to my next question. So thank you very much, Sam. Is there anything that you would change?
I mean, obviously it's going to take a sort of evaluation of what there is before I kind of know what to change, because I have so many ideas in my mind of kind of what could happen in a perfect system. And I imagine that once I get elected, I can stroll into the office, have a look at the books and go, okay, no, that isn't possible. Perfect isn't attainable here. But I definitely think there are improvements to be made around the structure of the part-time officers and the student reps, because that is sort of the core part of how we're able to assess the education of the students through those reps and through those part-time officers. And this year has shown me how difficult it can be if we're not sort of at an all-time high and kind of like going for the moon. When it comes down to sort of like when everyone is stressed and when things are just more difficult, the system isn't as good as it could be. And I hope to be able to make this a more robust system.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Then first sort of questions are really an introduction as to who you are. So the next the next few are really kind of job interviewee ones, the ones that you get like a standard job interview, just so that you understand it, and we're not just jumping straight from what would you change into my next question. You get what I'm saying. the next question I'm going to ask you is, how do you particularly solve problems in a professional matter? Because you are going to face problems all the time. And if you are elected to VP Education, you are going to face that. So how do you deal with problems in a professional setting?
I would say that one of my kind of strong suits is knowing my own limits. I get quite a lot of people messaging me with kind of difficulties all the time, from just friends going, "Hey Sam, could you have a look at this? I'm unsure," to students under me going, "I have a problem and I need it fixed." And I feel it would be so easy to get bogged down with, I've got so much I need to do for other people. But instead I go, okay, that's not going to be something that I can fix, but I have the resources to point you to the people who can fix it. You leave that problem with me, I'll go and tell it to Dave, he'll tell it to his boss, and we should be able to get it fixed that way, and we should get it fixed much quicker than me trying to solve it myself.
Brilliant, and thank you.
That is kind of the core of everything I do, problem solving. Breaking things down into manageable chunks, doing what I can by myself, but also just not being afraid to go, I can't do this alone, I need others, because it's a student union, not just a student.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sam. And the next one is, if you are elected into this, your face is everywhere. Like,
yeah,
you have a portrait picture that's all over the place. You are photoshopped onto everything. There's rolling screens with you, VP Education, what you stand for, all over campus. People know who you are. You're also trotted out for every event that is there and everything. So that is publicity, and that is really forefront of what part of the VP Education is. How would you deal with that?
I would say that I am in a really fortunate position for being able to deal with that, because I'm an actor. I did my kind of education in performing arts, and now I'm here doing a theatre course. And being on front of a podium, talking to a bunch of people, doing a photo shoot so that I can be sort of the face of the campaign, it is very similar to being on stage. You put on an act. And even like, I'm not suggesting that I will become a completely different character, but I will be able to create a heightened, brighter, better version of myself for the cameras, for the campaigns, for the posters. And that'll be Sam Haddock.
Amazing, brilliant. And we'll move on to the more serious chunk of it. So obviously we've had the happy. Now we get the serious side of it. So currently in the coronavirus situation and the circumstances, it has impacted students a lot. We know that there's no secret of that at all. But it's also left a lot of students very, very concerned, not only about their student experience, but how the university has actually responded throughout coronavirus. A lot of people are critical of how the university has done it, as well as the Union of Students. What do you think the Union of Students should do in response to students' warns and concerns, of not only about how they operate, but how the university has operated during coronavirus?
Obviously, I think the wrong thing to do would be to start making loads of promises, because, promises at some point can't be kept. But if we were to take the data that we have and sort of the student opinion that we have, and were to take a measured look at it, then we can then take an appropriate response. So I think the first step to do are proper full-on audits of the situation. We need to know how much student employability has been affected by the coronavirus, how much third-year students have missed out, because then only by working out what the damage is can we actually start dealing with a solution for it. You can't go, oh, we'll get it all fixed by June if we don't even know what has to be fixed.
Very good. And you've kind of answered my next question in your answer already, but I'd like to elaborate on it a little bit. The role of VP in education, how does that kind of affect what you've just said there? So like the Union of Students, in response, you've said they should audit it, they should look at employability, they should do that. How does the VP of Education really support that?
I'd say the vice president of education is almost the most central cog in that machine, because they are at the top of the education PTOs, who are then above the reps, and it is through those feedback systems that we are most likely to get our best and most valuable data on how the student experience has been affected, by having the reps ask their students, and they can feed back to the PTOs, who then feed it back via the education council to the vice president of education. That is how that data is going to come into the union. And kind of, if I was in that role, that is how I would then be able to know what to start doing. That is what we need first. That data needs to come in so that it can be acted upon.
Brilliant, thank you. And finally, the last thing is, over this year, as you can see here with us two now, normally would be face to face, but we're virtual. This year has all been virtual, and we've all learned a lot of lessons. What lessons can we learn from this virtual year and take into next year, both in a personal one and a professional one?
So this is something that I've been really interested in, because at the kind of the beginning of this academic year, I was having some chats with my lecturer about what positives could come out of this, because obviously we knew that it was gonna be a while, and that we knew that most things were looking worse, so we were trying to think of positive outcomes for this. And one that I thought of was that this really does show how easy it is to connect people across vast spaces. Why bother shipping someone over from America to give a talk in the uni when they could actually stay in their home and give a Zoom call and not have to waste a load of time, money, and jet fuel in order to get over here? Why have a load of students come in for a lecture which is just going to be them sitting down and staring at a screen, when they could be sitting in their own homes and staring at a screen? Obviously, there is so much from the student experience that is being missed out because of these restrictions to the way that we can learn. But I definitely think that this new normal, as they're calling it, can be applied and be beneficial in many situations. Certainly, I'm not saying that workshops and not even seminars should be replaced by sort of these digital learning environments, but big lectures with a bunch of people who aren't really talking and are just listening to someone give a presentation, I have seen no reason why that can't continue to happen on screen.
No, thank you very much, Sam. That was excellent. Thank you for your time.